He may not be the league's best player, nor does he have the most exciting personality, but if you take a detailed look at the career of Kyrie Irving, it's been a wild ride. Filled with extravagance and controversy, yet after so many years, he's still proving himself to be one of the best players in the league. In fact, statistically, he's been having his best seasons ever in Brooklyn. But you wouldn't know that if everything you see on the news about him consists of things like this or this. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today let's take a dive into Kyrie Irving's time in Brooklyn. After his departure from Cleveland, it's been a turbulent few years, from injuries to the cryptic tweets to being forced to sit out with his refusal to get vaccinated. He's quickly become the most polarizing figure in basketball. Heck, after rumors surfaced that he might be traded for Ben Simmons, Irving admitted that he probably would retire if the Nets traded him. Despite all of this, he's still playing his best basketball ever, and I'd say he's been overlooked, at least on the court. Anyway, let's get started. In the summer of 2019, Kyrie announced his decision to part ways with Boston to join the Brooklyn Nets. With him came along Kevin Durant and DeAndre Jordan. The three of them essentially collaborated in free agency and joined at the same time. It's ironic because the main reason why Irving wanted to leave Cleveland in the first place was because he wanted to lead his own team. A few years prior, this is what Kyrie said about his time with LeBron in Cleveland. Having just a tremendously great player like that come to your team and you see yourself being one of those great players eventually, and then he ends up joining it, and then now you have to almost take a step back and observe. Finding that balance is one of the toughest things to do because you have so much belief and confidence in yourself. Selfishly, I always wanted to just show everyone in the whole entire world exactly who I was every single time. I mean, for a short while in Boston, he did exactly that. He had the opportunity to show who he was all the time. The franchise gave the keys to Kyrie, but sadly, did not develop a great camaraderie with the rest of the team, or the city. Kyrie did not step up as a leader and felt more like an outcast. It also didn't help when the Celtics were one game away from the NBA Finals in 2018, and that was without Kyrie, as he suffered an untimely injury right before the playoffs. When he came back the following year, Kyrie had a horrendous playoff series against the Bucks, as they got knocked out in the second round. It was that offseason when the Celtics realized, this experiment is not working, and instead they preferred to keep building around Tatum and Brown. While Kyrie got a ton of flack for his lackluster performance, perhaps he does deserve a break. Throughout his time in Boston, he was mentally crushed. His grandfather's death sucked the joy out of basketball for him. Gramps would always watch his games with a smile on his face. His charisma and cheerful personality was the reason Kyrie kept going. So when he passed, Kyrie was really hurt. Admittedly, his mind was not in the right place. As he said, "I didn't take the necessary steps to get counseling or get therapy or anything to deal with someone that close to me dying. It started becoming more and more clear that my relationship within my home life had a way higher precedence than the organization or anyone. I failed those guys in the sense that I didn't give them everything that I could have during that season." At least Kyrie is self-aware. It was a moment of self-reflection, but the thing is, most people have never heard him say this until I just mentioned it. People never read stories that explain why a superstar is struggling, and instead just blame them for not performing. I do feel for Kyrie, and I do understand his perspective. You really can't be 100% focused when you lose a close family member. With that being said though, it's not necessary to do things like step all over the Celtics logo when he returned. I could see why he turned a lot of fans off. There's some bad blood there. Anyway, Kyrie's arrival to Brooklyn was highly anticipated, although it did get overshadowed when Durant announced his decision to join too. At this stage of his career, there were serious doubts about Kyrie's game. He just had a putrid playoff run with Boston, and the critics wondered if he still had any juice left. Unfortunately, that 2019-20 season was a disaster, in more ways than one. It started off with the death of Kobe Bryant, one of Kyrie's closest friends. A month later, he underwent season-ending shoulder surgery, despite being on pace for the best season of his career. He was doing a good job carrying the team while Durant was out. Then, a month after that, the season got suspended. Like most people, Kyrie spent most of his time at home and fell deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole of conspiracies. An interview in June of 2020 revealed some of his questionable beliefs. We all know about the whole flat earth conspiracy that he popularized a few years ago. Not only that, but he liked numerous Instagram posts of COVID conspiracies, including one that claimed secret societies are administering vaccines in a plot to connect black people to a master computer for a plan of Satan. Yikes. Among all of this, Kyrie still managed to have an incredible season. He successfully came back from shoulder surgery better than ever, and with Durant back in the mix and Harden joining them, Kyrie still led the team in scoring with 27 points a game, plus a career high in scoring efficiency. He looked phenomenal and the Nets were cruising. He became the fourth player in NBA history to record 50-40-90 shooting splits, while also scoring at least 25 points per game. Only Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Larry Bird have done that before. However, once again, his luck ran out. In the 2021 playoffs, Kyrie went down with an ankle injury. The Nets were up 3-2, but lost the final 2 games. Without him on the floor, the offense looked discombobulated, and they resorted to Durant doing ISO after ISO. I guess he's used to that though. At this stage of Kyrie's career, he's in a weird spot. I think all of us expected him to bounce back again and continue his excellent play on the Nets. But with the whole COVID situation and his refusal to get vaccinated against the laws of New York City, this is an unprecedented dilemma. Of course, other players are also experiencing this, but for Kyrie specifically, this severely hampers the Nets' championship aspirations. Like, the more you think about it, the crazier it sounds. The Nets worked their butt off to rebuild and retool into a super team, but now it could all come crashing down, just because of Kyrie's vaccination status. The sources have said that because he's not vaccinated, he cannot play in home games in Brooklyn. How does that even work? Is he literally going to miss half the season? What about the playoffs? Is he gonna miss all the home games there too? Well, it turns out the Nets solved this issue by straight up not allowing him to play at all. Kyrie is banned from participating in any of the Nets' activities, practice, workouts, shoot-arounds, and he won't be with the team. This is an impossible situation. That's why the Nets told him straight up that they might consider trading him if this doesn't get resolved. The teams can't force him to get a vaccine either because they still gotta respect his personal decision. It's so unfortunate because this was their year to win the title, or at least reach the finals. Now, I'm not so sure. I want to get off Kyrie's wild ride, but despite his polarizing persona, he's also done a lot of good for folks too. He's involved in numerous humanitarian projects, donated millions to help people who lost their jobs during the pandemic, and to areas of the country suffering from food shortages. All of that, and even his excellent seasons in Brooklyn, have been overlooked, simply because we always hear the negative headlines more than the positive ones. Out of all players in the NBA right now, there's nobody like Kyrie. On and off the court, he's a total enigma. Regardless of his beliefs, I still love watching him, and I still hope he finishes his career strong. And don't retire this early, dude. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Kyrie's situation and his last few years in the NBA. Do you think this vaccination dilemma will be resolved? Or maybe the city will make an exception for him? I don't know. He might be too deep into the rabbit hole at this point, but I'm pulling for him to get his career back on track. Don't forget, he just had the best season of his career. There's no signs of him declining. Anyway, that's all folks. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.